The ODI World Cup is around the corner. Title favourites India and Australia lock horns in a three-match ODI series. The first match of that series will begin in about 20 minutes from now. But should they be playing just 2 weeks ahead of the marquee tournament? That's what we are going to discuss in this live. Hello and welcome to WION World of Sport Extra. I am Nikhil Mathur and I'm joined by my sports editor Digvijay Singh Deo. India have won the toss. They have elected to bowl first. Do you want to take us through the playing 11 first?
Yeah, just look at the Indian 11 for this match. Shubman Gill expected. Opening with him is Ruturaj Gaikwad.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a surprise. I'll tell you why. Shreyas Iyer plays three. Big opportunity for him now because he's been injured. He just played the one innings in Sri Lanka in that Asia Cup. And he lost his spot to KL Rahul. He needs to remind the Indian selectors and the team management that he can shoulder the responsibility. In this case, he's batting at 3, which is Virat Kohli's position. That's still a crucial spot.
Yeah.
Number 4 is KL Rahul, who's the designated captain for this. I am not in agreement that Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma should be missing from this game, but that's how things are. Ishan Kishan bats at 5, so this tells me I would have expected him to open with Shubman like we saw in the Asia Cup final. But this tells me that he is locked on for 5 at the World Cup.
Yeah. I think it's a good move that the batters are batting on the position that Indian team is expecting them to bat at the World
so
Cup.
Ruturaj plays in place of Rohit Sharma. So it's just a replacement.
Yeah.
That's where Rohit slots back in. Ishan Kishan plays 5. He'll play 5 at the World Cup. Shreyas Iyer is a standby now. That's pretty clear. He's playing 3. Number 6, Surya Kumar Yadav. Now, Rahul Dravid being very categorical. We've picked a World Cup squad and Surya Kumar Yadav is in it. He won't start every game, but he can change a game at number 6. So that's where they're looking at him. That means Hardik will play. I'm not so sure of Jadeja now. If you look at it, if the games where Surya Kumar Yadav plays, I don't see space for Jadeja. Ashwin comes in. Big move from the Indian team to get Ashwin straight in. He hasn't played in close to 2 years.
Yeah, January.
Yeah. Shardul Thakur, Jasprit Bumrah needs more and more. If he does well, they'll probably rest him for the next one. And Mohammad Shami, who's also had just one game in against Bangladesh at the Asia Cup.
Yeah.
That's the Indian team for this game. And this is what I think about it. India won the toss. They've decided to bowl, right? So who are your bowlers? So you have
Bumrah, Shami.
So obviously the 3 pacers, Shardul, Bumrah, Shami, Ashwin, Jadeja are your spin options. But here, now you realize if you play Surya Kumar Yadav, you don't have a 6th bowling option.
That's why I think Surya Kumar, it's very difficult for him to find a place in the playing 11 at the World Cup. I think Jadeja is a sure shot just because you don't have that depth in your lineup. So I think Surya, he needs to perform really well to even have a
but
case.
see, I think for Surya Kumar Yadav is very similar to the person we saw on the telecast at Suresh Raina at the 2011 World Cup.
Yeah.
He comes in only when there's a problem with the batting order, especially Surya. They'll have to take a call at some point. Do you want to play Jadeja every game? That's the only way, because Hardik Pandya plays every game.
Yeah, Hardik plays. And I think Indian playing 11 is almost settled. As you mentioned, I think it's the KL Rahul, Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer. I think that was the only concern at the Asia Cup, and I think Shreyas Iyer need to fight it out if he wants to make it back to the playing 11.
It was his position.
Yeah.
And he lost it. I mean, not his fault, but he had that unfortunate injury at the wrong time. In fact, the way I read it, he was going to play the game against Pakistan at the start of the Super Force. And then he pulled a back muscle. KL Rahul was told 5 minutes before the game. He came in under a lot of pressure, scored 100. And I have said, you score 100 against Pakistan, you're going to stick on in the team.
Yeah.
You got the Australian team, have you?
Yeah, Australian team, David Warner, Mitchell Marsh.
Yeah, so Warner will open without his regular partner, Travis Head. And I was telling you that I thought Mitchell Marsh is going to open. Mitchell Marsh is opening. Number 3, Stephen Smith, expected. Now, this is a big move. Number 4 is Manas Labuschagne. Remember, Labuschagne didn't make the team. He's not made Australia's World Cup team. They can still change it. So, right now, with the way things are, I think Labuschagne is going to come in for Travis Head. I think, and he scored runs in South Africa as well. Cam Green is one all-rounder. Josh English, No Alex Carey. I just heard Pat Cummins saying that Carey's been rested. Marcus Stoinis plays. Matthew Short plays. Now, Matthew Short is interesting. Matthew Short is a very hard-hitting batter.
Yeah, he even
can bowl a bit of off-spin.
Like for like replacement for Travis Head, he can open as well.
And that, if I'm Labuschagne, then I'm looking out at what Matthew Short is doing. Cummins, Sean Abbott, Adam Zampa.
Yeah, but I think it's a double-edged sword. As we mentioned, playing just 2 weeks ahead of the World Cup.
Not 2 weeks. You've got six days and 3 games.
Yeah.
And then you've got warm-up games coming up after that. So you're looking at what? 2 weeks to go for the World Cup. And 6 plus 2, that's what? 5 games in the next 10 to 12 days.
And a lot of these, like Pat Cummins is coming off an injury. A lot of these players are coming off an injury. Glenn Maxwell is still not here.
See, you look at Australia here. So like India have to play Surya Kumar and Shreyas, Australia have to play Pat Cummins. Now the problem with Pat Cummins is he's probably the most undercooked captain going into this World Cup because he's captained Australia in 2 ODIs since he was appointed last November. Yeah. Almost a year ago. And just 2.
Exactly. And it's a difficult task to, to know which bowlers to bowl in India. It's not easy.
He's played the IPL, so he knows the conditions.
He knows the condition, but again, he wants to test the pitcher that at what point does he want to bring his spinners. And, he said in his press conference, he said that we don't want to be overcooked as well. Because a lot of these players are playing cricket. But again, it's a double-edged sword. You need to pick and choose the game that you want to play. I know you disagree with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli.
No, I disagree with them not being part of the Indian squad.
Yeah.
Please don't play them. I have no issues with that.
Yeah.
But they should be there because you're looking at the captain, the former captain and the future captain. 3 of your leadership team are not there with the team right now. That's where they should be. You don't need a mental break going into a World Cup. Come on.
Yeah, okay. So I think it's a big opportunity for everyone.
Hang on, let's look at the other way. Don't you think you can, at this stage, you've been there so long, don't you think you can then guide Surya Kumar Yadav? You can guide Shreyas Iyer on how to approach the game. You can't guide him sitting on the phone and talking on WhatsApp or on FaceTime or whatever. You need to be there, put an arm around his shoulder. There is a reason why they're legends, right? They've played so long for this team. Rohit made his debut in 2007, didn't he?
That T20 debut in that World Cup.
No, he played Australia before that.
Yeah, and that. Yeah, so
he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Hey, Virat Kohli's been around for a while.
But as soon as they arrive in the right mental space and in the right form.
So that's my point. Those guys don't need to be in the right space of mind because, they barely played cricket this year in terms of one-day cricket.
But again, it's a big opportunity for Shreyas Iyer, and I think he will need to score runs to,
No, I see Shreyas playing at least. I see Shreyas and Surya Kumar playing all. I can't say all 3 because you don't know when those other 2 come back. Those 3 come back. But I see them playing at least the first 2 games, definitely. Mohammad Shami.
Definitely.
Mohammad Shami. Ashwin is playing 1 game. I think they'll play.
So no Washington Sundar.
So that's important, right?
So
Washi plays obviously the next one.
No, the Akshar Patel is injured. Do you think Washington Sundar and Ravichandran Ashwin are still?
This is an audition.
They are in
this
the mix
is an audition. I just think that. I think it all comes down to combination. I think they still need an all-rounder. I'm not sure I'll classify Ashwin as an all-rounder in ODI.
Yeah. But interesting, I think.
Can he do what Akshar does? No. Can Washington Sundar do that? We've seen Washington do it a bit more often in the IPL.
Yeah, of course. But
Ashwin's a better bowler.
Better bowler and more experience. And in test matches, he had 5 or 700. But again, ODI is a different game. But he can hold his nerve. Remember that.
And his fielding as well, right? He's not the sharpest.
Yeah, he's not the sharpest. But remember the T20 World Cup where he scored that boundary of the last ball. So interesting. Interesting combinations there. And injuries, guys. Just not Australia and
by the way,
India.
We just got news that
Pakistan.
Naseem Shah's out, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
He's really exciting talent.
Probably
really liked him.
Probably the best bowler in Asia Cup in terms of the line that he was constantly hitting. For me, he was even better than Shaheen Shafridi because of the constant threat that he was outside the.
Better than Siraj? Brave?
I think I would give it to Siraj because 5-wicket haul in the final.
6.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot better that. But I think a lot of teams are struggling with injuries, and
And I have a way of looking at it. I think over the last couple of years or since the last World Cup, teams have been playing either Test cricket or they've been playing T20 cricket.
Yeah.
And you had at the start of the year, you had a lot of India played a lot of one-day international leading up to the IPL, right?
Yeah.
You played Australia, you played Sri Lanka, there was one more series. And New Zealand. New Zealand.
Before that, New Zealand, yeah.
Then there was the IPL.
Then the IPL.
Correct? Then after the IPL, you went to
West Indies and Ireland, I think.
Yeah. So then now, all of a sudden, all these teams are suddenly playing one-day internationals, 50-over cricket. That's why you just let me go through this list of people who are injured. Andrik Norke is out of the World Cup. I think that's a big blow for South Africa. I was putting, whenever I start picking somebody as a favorite, somebody gets injured. Team Saudi. Now remember, Team Saudi has been captaining New Zealand
in the absence
of Kane Williamson. This is a big blow, and he's fractured a thumb. He's undergoing surgery. Are they going to take a call with Williamson himself coming back from injury?
He hasn't played in a
I think he'll go. They'll bump him down to the travelling reserves and hope that he gets in fit, and they can probably switch him later on in the tournament. Naseem Shah's out. Akshar Patel. What we are hearing from, I mean, the Indian board hasn't said it officially, but what Rohit said is it's a tear. Now the tear doesn't heal very often, so quickly. It takes time. Travis said, let's say
it's difficult.
No, it's not. He's out.
He's out.
Fractured his. He got hit here, right? He's fractured his hand. That's 2 months. And that's 2 months. Listen, I fractured my shoulder last year, and I was 2 months out, and then I had physiotherapy for about 3 months before I could sort of start moving it. Even if it's broken his hand, he's not going to start playing cricket immediately. He's broken his hand. It's not a hairline fracture. He's got a whack. So at least his arm is going to be immobilized, right? So
I think he was the most informed batter for Australia. Be it Test, be it T20, be it ODI.
It's unfortunate he got hit while playing cricket. Travis said, so Mahesh Tikshana is again a doubt for Sri Lanka, but they're expecting him back. Adil Rashid, Mark Wood. Now these are two big names for England in that ODI setup. They're hopeful that these guys come back, but we haven't seen much of them.
And especially Adil Rashid in terms of the subcontinental conditions. Very important for England.
For Sri Lanka, Dushamanta Chamira, Dilshan, Madhushankar. Again, don't know what's the scene there. Najmul Hussain Shanto. Now this is at the top of the Bangladesh innings. He's been good. Even Ibadat. Tamim is back. I saw Tamim was in the squad which played New Zealand. And Shreyas Iyer, as you said, a big question mark over him, how he responds to being sort of going down. I mean, interesting story yesterday about Jason Roy rejecting an England call-up, saying I think he's absolutely mad that he got bumped down and Harry Brook came in. So they asked him to play this Island series, and he said nothing doing, bye-bye, not playing.
So I mean, and he doesn't.
So the question is, this Australia series, do you think India should have scheduled a series with Australia, knowing that you're playing Australia first up, or maybe go on with a Bangladesh or some other team which wouldn't test you so much? I mean, obviously, when they obviously made the schedule, you didn't realize that Australia also going to be so have people coming back from injury. But I mean, high pressure, one ahead of the World Cup. I don't remember much of these big games. I remember before the 2015 when we were world champions, we played a tri-series in Australia. And there was a big gap after that, heading into the World Cup. This is direct there. And nobody gave India a chance because India had got hammered in that series, I remember. I'm not getting who the third team was. New Zealand maybe, I'm not sure.
I think New Zealand. But I think, so Rohit, Virat, Hardik and all these are rested. I think India intentionally didn't include Kuldeep Yadav in the squad.
No, Kuldeep I understand because he's a mystery spinner.
No, that's what I'm saying, because so close, you don't want your mystery spinner to be, Australia remember that test series where they had a replica, like a bowler who was trying to replicate Ravichandran Ashwin, didn't work so well for them. So I think, I think it's as you said, it's unheard of playing a big, like one of the title contenders so close to the World Cup. But as you said, the World Cup schedule was announced way later than it was supposed to be happen. So I think it's a good opportunity for both teams to test their batting and bowling strength and get these players. For Australia it's good because they need game time. A lot of Glenn Maxwell is still not here. He's not part of the first ODI playing 11, and he's still doubtful about the second and third. So I think Australia definitely needs some game time, and again, as you said, Marnus Labuschagne and
Shaur Khan is on Facebook, says, I'm from Afghanistan, I am loving the Indian team. Thank you, Shaur. Hope your team does well at the World Cup as well. Automatic qualifiers, Afghanistan. He also says, I'm following Indian team like I am following Afghanistan. And Babangida Haruna says, good morning, WION World of Sport. Good morning, good afternoon. It's good afternoon where we are. Okay, let's see if we have any other comments. Keep going.
Yeah, so I think it's a, as we said, it's a dress rehearsal for the ODI World Cup. India are very much settled with their playing 11. It's just a fight between Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul and Ishan Kishan have seemingly sealed their spot. And in terms of the spin department, as we were discussing, Ravichandran Ashwin and Washington Sundar could make a last dash to be included in that 15-member squad because Akshar Patel is injured. So good audition. I think how important is the result of this series going to be?
I don't think it makes a difference. But
yeah, I think.
But I would have thought with Australia losing the last 3 games against South Africa, they're at a shaky place.
Yeah.
Irrespective of who's missing, who's not, it's Australia.
Yeah.
And South Africa have come back and won that series after being 2-0 down. And they absolutely got pasted in the last 3 games. Okay, South Africa got 400 in one game. Henrik Larsson, he sort of turned it around.
Henrik Larsson is, I think, one of the players to watch.
And then Markram got that 90 odd in that last game. And again, they won by 100 runs there. So I think that India missed a chance.
No, but I think there's also a drawback of the approach that Australia and England have applied. They go hammer and tong at the beginning.
No, I'm just coming back to it. So for Australia, if India had played a full strength team and thought, you know what, let's go for the jugular, beat them 3-0, then Australia head into that World Cup opener. Having lost 6 on the bounce.
Yeah, and
that affects. I think that's a trick we missed.
Yeah, I think momentum is I think it's huge going into a marquee tournament like the ODI World Cup. If you don't have momentum, irrespective of which, like as we saw with India, because they weren't playing the playing 11 for the World Cup in West Indies and in Ireland, they took some time to gel. And I think that momentum is very important. So no matter which 11 you are playing, if you're winning, if you're going to the World Cup on the back of a series win, it keeps your morale really, really high. So I think you're correct. I think India missed a trick. They could have.
I don't agree with this thing, mental rest. What we're doing in Sri Lanka, how many games were completed? Let's be fair. It was most of a rest only.
Yeah, but again,
Kohli didn't play the game against Bangladesh.
No.
Okay, then right at the top, the Nepal game, he didn't get to bat. Okay, played 1 game against Pakistan, the first game, then the second game against Pakistan. The Sri Lanka game, in Indian batters, he was barely at the crease for a while. Didn't play the Bangladesh game, didn't play the Sri Lanka final, he didn't get to bat. I mean, he played, obviously. You saw all his exciting celebrations. But, I mean, listen, you need to bat. I completely disagree. And this is something I'm very sort of angry about. And I have no qualms in saying it. When you go into a World Cup, you need your best team playing. Listen, this is the Australia which sort of has championed mental disintegration. If you're down there, they'll go and keep pushing you down till you start questioning your own abilities and skill set. This is where I think India missed a trick.
I mean, as I said in that live as well, I cannot disagree because they know, as you said, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma are legends of the game. They know their space. They know what kind of headspace they are in.
Sandeep Gupta is saying, I'm watching India, Australia and Melbourne. Do you think Australia will become more used to playing spin, playing and going to the World Cup with a lot of more momentum? You know, Sandeep, I'm not sure they don't know how to play spin. They know how to play spin, especially in one-day cricket. When you have the field spread out, it's not a thing. I think the problem for them is to find their best 11.
Yeah.
I think head going out, they have a perfect replacement in Mitchell Marsh. And I was just looking at the way Marsh was playing when he was captaining in South Africa as well, initially T20. And I thought, well, I think we mentioned in one of our Facebook and YouTube lives that I think you could look at a situation where Warner drops down to 4.
Yeah.
But now they have no option. Head is out. I think for Australia, it's important they don't get hammered in these 3 games because then you're going into a World Cup opener against India in Chennai, having lost a lot of games on the bounce. And let's face it, players may be champions, but they are humans. It affects. And also remember, Maxwell hasn't played for a while. Stark hasn't played for a while. Cummins hasn't played for a while. Steven Smith hasn't played for a while. It takes time to sort of get back into the groove.
Yeah, as we saw in the test match series between Australia and India, the first 2 matches, they didn't have a clue.
And when they adapted.
And then when they adapted, they knew what bowlers to play, which bowler to play. Steven Smith got into some groove and Marnus. I think Steven Smith and Marnus Labuschagne are going to be key because they are probably the best player.
You're thinking Labuschagne is already in the team.
Yeah, if he makes it.
I just think that for them, it's a no-brainer now. If Head's gone, Labuschagne is not going to go and smash things at the top of the order. You have this guy there for it, Mitchell Marsh. I think for them, bat him 3 and 4 and see. And then we've got a bunch of big hitters to come. Glenn Maxwell to come, Marcus Stoinis to come, Cam Green there.
Yeah. Alex Carey also.
Carey, Inglis. So I think Australia, for them, the beauty of this Australian squad is that core all-rounder base.
Yeah.
And sort of days you can expect them to bowl 40 overs, in fact.
Of course, of course. And I think Steven Smith is their mainstay. I think he would rotate the strike and would play the longer role. So, yeah, looks...
I'm trying to just look at Australia's schedule for this World Cup. Just give me a sec.
Yeah.
So, Australia start off against India. One second, I go to matches somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, team-wise fixtures. It's not on this many. Okay. Australia with India. Then Australia, South Africa. Back again.
Yeah, back.
That's 12th. So, basically, they get really two big games to start off with, and then it's Sri Lanka,
which are no pushovers.
Who are no pushovers in these conditions.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw it the way they beat Pakistan or the way they beat sort of Bangladesh and whatever. And then Australia after that, Australia, Pakistan. So Australia have 4 tough games to start off with. Hang on, this is actually tough. And then they've got Netherlands. So they've got 4 tough games. They've really got 4 tough games. So yeah, India could have actually...
Exactly, and as you were saying, if India would have fielded their best playing 11 and defeat Australia 3-0, then the first 2 matches would be against the team that they have lost, South Africa and India. And I think that would have been, if that happens, that's going to be a huge dent to their morale because...
I have one more question. Should Australia play the strongest 11 all 3 matches? Well, do they have a strongest 11?
Yeah, I think that's...
What is their strongest 11? They don't know that. I think till they get the Starks of the world back, and listen, I understand why they sort of KG with Stark because he's a match winner. He's sort of last two World Cups, he's your highest wicket taker.
Yeah,
across.
I think and across the 10 teams that are part of the World Cup, I think Australia has the most unsettled playing 11 because of the injuries.
No, we were saying that about India.
About India, but India,
they had the Asia
exactly.
Cup.
In India fixed it at the Asia Cup, but Australia, I think that's where I think they're still undercooked. And Cummins was saying that we don't want to be overcooked, but you need to begin somewhere to start playing your playing 11 that is going to play the World Cup. Because South Africa are almost a settled side. Even Pakistan, I know Naseem Shah is out, but they know who their playing 11 is. Same with India, with a few tweaks here and there. I think Australia are the most undercooked in terms of the playing 11.
I agree with you. I think there is a problem there.
Yep.
And I think they're going to use this as an opportunity to sort of come hard at India, knowing that this Indian team is there for the taking. That's where I have a problem.
Yeah.
You'd have made it hard for them. Put out your best team, at least for the first game. And listen, you know going into this game that India are without a Rohit Sharma, are without a Kohli, are without a Hardik Pandya. Imagine if those 3 guys were in the squad, then you would only know if they are playing or not when the toss happened. Right now, Australia going into the game thinking, you know what, this is an Indian team. It's a second string Indian team for them. Because you've got 2 guys who have scored more than 25,000 ODI runs. And Hardik, who's a match winner in his own right. So,
yeah. So before we wrap this discussion, what's your prediction? Do you think this, not second string, will this playing 11 of India beat Australia, who's still trying to figure out their playing 11?
Now there's someone's asking, what's your prediction for the series?
I mean, I think I would...
Australia? Knowing the first 2 games, India is not at full strength. Australia? Or are they too rattled at the moment?
I think they are too rattled and they would try to, make changes and do some experiments to fix their playing 11. So I think India have an edge there because India know what their playing 11 is. So
Vidur is are usually the third musketeer.
Yeah.
But he's on an evening shift. He hasn't gotten here yet. His prediction is 2-1 to Australia. I actually would agree with him, yeah.
I think 2-1 to India because I think Australia will experiment. They will send someone top the order, and I think that's why they would lose the game. But I think they focus.
But see, they're batting first right now, right? India are going to bowl. So Australia bat first. It's Mohali. There's a due factor obviously coming in.
And pacers usually do well.
Yeah, but I just think that Australia, this game, Australia start favourites for me this game.
Yeah.
Despite the hammering that they got. But I think 270, 280 odd.
Yeah.
They need to score that much. I always say, to beat India, you need to put runs on the board or you dismiss India under 275.
Yeah. I think, as you said, there's a test of approach because Australia go hard. India, in the beginning, they consolidate, they take the match deep while Australia go hammer and tongs. So I think it's a test of approaches as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have a lot of things to prove.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's wrap that. What's coming up at 6:30 p.m. India? That's our broadcast show.
I think Liverpool, they've made a habit of coming back, fourth?
I saw the first half. They were awful. They were absolutely awful. And then something somehow clicked. But that goal which came was an outstanding goal. Yes. Flecker just put his laces through that shot. just went in. But Jurgen Klopp made a lot of changes as well.
Yeah.
But you know what I liked? What I liked was he didn't panic. He didn't throw in the cavalry. Salah came on only at the end and got a goal. But he backed his team, which was on the park, to turn it around, and they did.
Yeah.
And Liverpool favourites to win the Europa League.
But what is this with managers not fielding their best 11 for the Europa? Is this because this is not the premier European competition? If this would have been Champions League, I think Mohamed Salah would have started. And this
everyone would have started. Jota, him, But it gives them, like, obviously it's the group stage.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the reason. And we are tracking the Spanish football crisis, which is seemingly over. Alexia Putellas, 2-time World Player of the Year, has come out and said, that there has been systematic discrimination in the Spanish Federation, and that's what they have raised their voice against, and hope that this carries on. So reforms coming in at the Spanish Football Federation. Hope this is a new chapter.
Yeah,
we are tracking that story.
And also we have two superstars of world sport. Roger Federer speaks extensively ahead of the Laver Cup, and Messi is saying he was never recognized by PSG for winning the World Cup because he'd beaten a French team in the final. But I have a sort of, I'm trying to remember something. I remember Messi coming back. He was giving a guard of honor.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mbappe wasn't there because Mbappe was given time off and he was in the US, I remember.
Yeah.
We ran that story.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised where that's coming from.
I think maybe he was expecting a grand kind of a welcome, but he was given.
For me, that was a good enough welcome.
Yeah, because he was given. We saw that. Even I think we ran that visual as well.
We ran the visuals,
Yeah, so I think Messi and PSG is a sour story. Both are not really happy with the time. So yeah, and our man Vidur Kathuria is on ground covering the MotoGP.
Hobbling around, actually. He's not on the ground. His feet are not on the ground.
Yeah, so all
He's wearing a protective brace.
Exactly.
He's gone and played football and damaged himself.
Yeah. So all that.
Exuberance of youth.
And exactly all that and much more on our show at 6:30 p.m. India.